Hi guys, I hope you all are fine. So today I come up again another video with the related to the Kubernetes. So today is my topic is a node selector. So what is the node selector and why we use it in the Kubernetes? I will tell you. Before that, you have to know about how the pod is launched in the Kubernetes cluster. So let's suppose if I want to run a pod, so what are the major steps need to be have been completed by the Kubernetes cluster to launch this pod? So first of all, it will be goes the request to the Kube API, and then API will redirect it to the Kube scheduler, and then Kube scheduler will decide that where we have to be launch this pod. Okay, so launching this pod will be depending upon the Kube scheduler. Let's suppose if I have the master node and I have the worker, and both worker and because the Kube scheduler is a very intelligent tool in the Kubernetes cluster, it will decide automatically that where we have to be more space, more reliable things are the on which worker node we have. So the Kube scheduler will decide that we will deploy this pod onto the let's suppose on worker node 1. So it will be just on talk to the kubelet, and kubelet will talk to the Docker engine, and then it will be launch the container inside the worker node. So this is the some process about how to pod will be launched once we deploy the pod on the Kubernetes or deployment on the Kubernetes. So all are the things managed by one and only the Kube scheduler. So I have already made this video on this very main component about the Kube scheduler. So you have to go and visit that my video and check how this component will be work. So why we still needed the node selector here if we have a very intelligent tool in the Kubernetes? So there is some cases, that's why the node selector is come up. So what are the cases and what are the things are be there? So let me explain you. Before that, I want to know you one more thing. Let's suppose I have the master and I have the worker node 1 and worker node 2, and this is my cluster. So there is one parameter on the master node which is name is tent. So tent is something like that you can say that whenever the Kube scheduler wants to launch a pod on the worker node, so it will be so first of all check the tents on the worker node. If the tent is applied is like no schedule, no scheduler or no schedule on that particular node, so it's mean that Kube scheduler will never launch the pod on that node. So if tent is applied, and tent value will be no scheduler or no schedule, like that one. So you will be getting one. So if the tent is applying no schedule, so then Kube scheduler will never be deploy your pod on that node. So in master node, when we create the Kubernetes cluster, so automatically on master node a tent is applied means no schedule, no or not scheduler. So it's mean that the Kube scheduler will never be create the pod on the master node. So how we can see that? So you can just simple describe this node and check the tent value of the on the master node. So in worker node we didn't have normally none, and in master node we applied a tent is equal to no scheduler. So it is a recommended one, but if you have very limited resources, you may go with the none as well. So it's depend upon you. So that's why. So let me show you about this thing. So how can we check the tense is applied or not? So I think before that I need to clean up my environment. Delete pod minus minus all. However, I also let me show you after deleting this to how to check the node tents on the node. So let's see how many node I have in my cluster. So there is 3 nodes I have, 2 master, 1 is worker node. So let's describe my first node 1. So once I describe this, so you will be see tents here on the parameter on the describe in the node. So in my master here I have a very limited resources, so there I just remove that tents here. So but you when you are in production one, so it is recommended you to always put tents and with the parameter of no schedule on your master node. So their master will never have some never be to having some ports on it. So this is how we can check the tents on the nodes. So let's jump into the our actual topic, which is a node selector. Okay, so let's check why we use still node selector, but instead of we have the cube scheduler. So there is having some use cases I have. So let me just diagram here. So I have the master one, and then I have the worker 1 and the worker 2. Let's suppose I have the app, and this worker node, let's suppose having 200 GB RAM on my this worker node, and here I have 512 GB RAM on my worker node 2. Let's suppose having some 48 CPU, and here I have 96 CPU. You can see, you can you just assume it. Okay, so let's I have created this app, and in starting of app I because I developed this app and want to run on my Kubernetes cluster. So first it will be go on the kube scheduler. If I want to be run, then kube scheduler will decide that it should be launched on the worker node 1, because in starting of my app it's just needed let's suppose 100 GB RAM and some let's suppose 24 CPU it's needed. So as per this my need, the kube scheduler decide that this worker node is the best node for the this app. But I developed this app and I know the pros and cons of this, but after the launching of this app on over the internet, the traffic is so much high, so it my RAM will be goes up to it's let's suppose 3 GB RAM, because I created this app. I know the worth of this app and it's having some 64 CPU needed. So here once it's come up here, so my pod will be crash, my service will be down. Okay, so this is not a good choice. So for avoid this thing, or to means my app should be launched as per my demand, so it should be launched on the worker node 2, because I created this cluster, so I know. Then we have the worker node 2 having some 512 GB RAM and 96 CPU. So this thing will be cover up. This thing will be cover up on my worker node 2. So here is the role play of the node selector. So we have to means bypass this thing, bypass kube schedulers, and then we we have to tell that our app that you have to go onto the worker node 2 and deploy it here. So you will never go to the never go with the kube scheduler. So we have to put some parameter on this app file, YAML file, or is maybe a deployment file, or maybe a pod file. So we have to put some node selector parameter on my app, and then app will be automatically goes on to the worker node 2. So this is a one case. So let's assume I have another master server having a worker node 1 and worker node 2, and let's suppose and this Kubernetes cluster is deployed on AWS, and we have this on PK region, and here we worker node 2 on US region, and I have 20 microservices, and they are all very important services. So all are the very main components. So our boss is tell that you have to deploy 90 microservices on any node. So you may be deploy on worker node 1 or worker node 2, but one service which is very critical for us, so and having some compliance issue, so it will never be goes beyond this limit on Asia limit. Let's suppose Asia region, so it will never be go on pass on Asia region. So this service never be deploy on US region. So you have to do something. So in order to fulfill the requirement of the compliances, and as per our boss order, so we have to deploy this service forcefully onto the worker node 1. So this is here we have another use case come up, that you have to forcefully deploy your app in some worker node, so then the node selector will be a best choice for to deploy the app on the particular node. So maybe that service have a DB having some very critical information about your data, so that never be goes beyond the Asia or PK region. Let's suppose, however, we don't have the PK region, but let's suppose we have it. Okay, so here we can just node selector again come up play a very big role. So in this app service app launching file, we will put a node selector parameter. Okay, and then put the net selector parameter in it, and then this service will be deployed on this worker node, and rest of other 19s will somehow some 10 services are apply on worker node 2, and other rest of other 9 will be apply here. Okay, so this is another node selector use case. So let me give you one more example. So let's suppose I have the master server, and I have the worker node 1 and worker node 2. In worker node 1 I have, let's suppose this is SSD and this is the HDD. Okay, having some great IOPS. Okay, having some great read write. Okay, so this is my Kubernetes cluster again, and I have an app, and that app need to launch where there the storage read write is very fast, and then the IOPS is very high, and we need something of SSD storage. So we have to fulfill this requirement to deploy this app on this worker node, not on this. So the use cases come again and again. It's up to you then where you have to launch these services and where you have to launch this thing. So another a node selector we will use here in order to launch the app on the particular node. So how can we launch this thing? So first of all, you have to apply the label on the node. you have to put the labels on the node. First of all, if you have the, let's suppose it's master, I can say it's my master, let's suppose, because we don't have, we have some 10 supply on it. So it says the worker node 1. So I said the storage is equal to SSD, and this is when the storage is HDD. Let's suppose, and the label will be applied on the key value pair, key and its value. So how can we apply the labels on the worker nodes? So let me show you, and let's deep dive into the practical. So first of all, I have to show you the labels on my get node and minus show labels. So there is 3 nodes, node 1, node 2, node 3. So I have just put the node 2 on the storage SSD because I have launched this node and connected with my SSD storage. Having there is nothing label applied on the node 1 and node 3. So you can see it. So how can we apply? Let's suppose this is my node 3 and it's launched in the PK region. So how can we apply the PK region on this, or apply the label PK region? Region is PK on node 3. So you have to just kubectl label, then node and node 3, and then key value pair equal to PK. So label is applied. So how can we see that label is applied or not? So I will show again, and then you can see the region PK is here. So now we have to launch our one pod on this region. So I have just come up in a dummy file of the my pod. So node selector I have just written here, and then I will region equal to PK. Okay, so let's see and save and just create it. kubectl create -f pod.yaml. So it says the didn't apply. Okay, so maybe some issue. Let's see. Okay, maybe something space issue. So you have to be very conscious about the space. So let me just little bit rearranging it and then apply. So yes, it's created, it's fine. So get pod, so it's running. Okay, so as per our requirement, the pod should be launched on node 3 because we have put the label on the node 3, and also put the label on our pod launching file as well. So I just put it here. It says -o wide, and then it says that your pod is launched on the node 3. So I hope you understand the concept of node selector in the Kubernetes, why we use it, and what is more important thing, why it is important in the Kubernetes. So if you have any problem and in the node selector, so please let me know. Thank you guys for watching this video. Bye bye.